In this demonstration, I am going to show you how you can deploy a sample Azure Virtual Desktop environment. And I'm going to deploy this sample virtual desktop environment with QuickStart in Azure Portal. QuickStart enables you to easily evaluate a Windows level enterprise multi-session remotely and become familiar with the service before you deploy it in your production environment. When you use QuickStart, it deploys a small environment consisting of minimal resources and configuration. A user then assigns into the Windows app and connects to a full virtual desktop session. Deployment takes approximately 20 minutes to complete. QuickStart deploys the following resources. 1. A resource group. 2. A virtual network and subnet with the IP4 address space, and it also uses Azure provided DNS servers. 3. A network security group associated with the subnet of the virtual network with the default rules only. No inbound rules are required for Azure Virtual Desktop. 4. A host pool with single sign-on enabled. 5. A session host running Windows 11 Enterprise multi-session with Microsoft 365 apps pre-installed in the English. So it's a standard D4DS_V4 size virtual machine that is configured with a standard SSD disk, and it's also running for virtual CPUs and 16 GB memory, and is joined with the Microsoft Entra ID. Another thing that is deployed there is an application group that publishes the full desktop from the session host, and also it also deploy a workspace. So what are the prerequisites before you can deploy a virtual desktop? Now, before you can use the QuickStart to deploy a sample Azure Virtual Desktop environment, you will need an active subscription. And if you don't have an Azure subscription, you can create a free account. Now, you can check one of my videos where I actually demonstrated how you can open an Azure free account. Now, you also need an Azure account with the following role-based access control that is assigned to the subscription at the minimum. What are those role-based access control? You need a contributor role and a user access administrator. So what is the purpose of the contributor role? The contributor role is used to deploy all the required resources, while the user access administrator is used to assign users you specify during the deployment access to sign into the remote session. Another thing that you need is 1 or 2 users accounts that you want to assign access to the remote session. At least one user is required. So this account must be a member of the same Entra ID tenant as the subscription that you are using. They must not be guests. Now you can assign other users later. Also, you need available quota for your subscription for the standard D4DS_V4 virtual machine. Now, if you don't have available quota, you can request an increase by following the steps in the request VM quota increase. So to deploy Azure Virtual Desktop resources, you will need to register the Microsoft Desktop Virtualization Resource Provider on your Azure subscription. How do you do that? Just go to your Azure portal and you look for subscriptions. So what we need to do now is to select the subscription. So I've selected this subscription, and in the subscription, I'm going to select resource provider. Resource provider is under settings. So this is it, resource providers. And in the resource providers, you will now search for the service. That's Microsoft Desktop Virtualization. So these are the services, and you will see the services that are registered and the ones that are not registered. Like this one now is registered. This one you are seeing here are not registered. So I will look for Microsoft desktop virtualization. Here is it. You can see my account is what registered. So the status is showing that it is registered. So if it's unregistered, you need to click on it and you go ahead and register it. So the next thing that we'll do now is to deploy a sample Azure Virtual Desktop environment. Now, like I said earlier, I'm going to use a QuickStart to deploy a sample Azure Virtual Desktop environment. The purpose of this is just to demonstrate that we have Azure Virtual Desktop environment that you can deploy for your users instead of giving them a physical system. And once they have this Azure Virtual Desktop environment, they can use any of their devices as long as it allows them to connect to internet to access the virtual desktop environment. So in order to do this, I'm going to search for Azure Virtual Desktop environment. There is Azure Virtual Desktop, so I will select it. Now, if I want to really configure a production environment kind of Azure Virtual Desktop, I will start from the host pool. But for this demonstration, I'm going to use QuickStart. So in the QuickStart, I have these three options. The first one says that get started quickly with Azure Virtual Desktop. So this one quickly deploy a sample environment to evaluate and become familiar with Azure Virtual Desktop. Creates a pool host pool with single Windows VM multi-session host. So what it's simply saying is that it's going to allow you to create a sample virtual desktop and it will be running Windows 11 and it's going to be a multi-session. What does that mean? Multiple users can be assigned to the virtual desktop and they can continue to make use of the virtual desktop. This second option is talking about a landing zone accelerator. He said Azure Virtual Desktop Landing Zone Accelerator is a collection of architectural guidance and reference to the implementation so as to accelerate the deployment of Azure Virtual Desktop at scale. And this one is talking about host pool. So this is the one I need to quickly create a virtual desktop. So I'll click the create button now. Then I will need to supply some necessary information. For example, I need to select the subscription and also the location. So the location is going to be East US. Then I'll come to the local administrator account. I'm going to give it sysadmin. That's going to be the username. Then I'm going to specify password. Then under the assignment, user assignment, I'm going to select maximum of 2 users. So here now you need to assign user that is going to use this virtual desktop. What is it saying? You cannot go more than 2. So I'm going to select this user for me and I'm going to select another user here, root. And I will say select. And I will now click review, create. So it's validating the information now. Then I'll click create. So the initialization is ongoing, and any minute from now it will start submitting the deployment, and that is what is happening now. And look at this information here. It says congratulations, in about 30 minutes your virtual desktop environment will be fully deployed and ready. Once complete, you can sign into a full virtual desktop session that is running Windows 11 Enterprise multi-session using the Windows app. In the meantime, recommend you to get ready to connect. So it will take between 20 to 30 minutes. That's just the reality. So at this point, I'm going to pause this video and I'll be back once the deployment is ready. Now that the deployment is complete, we can now connect to it by using the Windows app and sign into the virtual desktop using any of the account that I had it at the time I was deploying the virtual desktop. So what I would do now is to look for the app. The app is called Windows app. Now you can go to this place, that's the Windows Store, to install it if you don't have it. So it's called Windows app. So if you get to the Windows Store, just type Windows app. But in my own case, I already have it. So, but I just want to show you what you need to do. This is the app I'm looking for. It's called Windows app. This is it, Windows app. So let me select it now. You realize that to tell me that I already have it. Now it's asking me to open it. So I can open it from here. I can as well go to the start button and open from here, Windows app, and I will select it. So Windows app is ready and it's asking me to sign in. So I'm going to use this user root to sign into the Windows app. So I'll click next. Then I will supply the password. So because this is the first time I will be using this account to sign into any of Microsoft Cloud solutions, there is a need for me to change it to a new password. Then I will say next. Now it's asking me now to authenticate using my Microsoft Authenticator. So the first thing that you need to do in this case is to download Microsoft Authenticator. So on your mobile devices, just go to where you used to download app and look for Microsoft Authenticator. Once you have downloaded the Microsoft Authenticator, then you click next. The next thing to do is to now set up the authenticator. So I'll still click the next button and it's going to give me the QR code to scan. So I'm going to scan it from my device. So it's happening right now. And next is that yes, I've scanned it and I'll click next here. And it's now asking me to type this number 38. So I'm going to type it here on my on my device because it's asking me to type it. I'm still running the authenticator on my device, and right now it said what Microsoft Authenticator approved. So I'll click next. Great job, you have successfully set up your security info. Choose done to continue signing in. So I'll click done. And here is it. This is section desktop. This is the virtual desktop we deployed. I'll click connect. So I'll need to confirm the password again at this point. Now we'll say sign in. Allow remote desktop connection. Yes. You can see it's preparing the session. So this is the virtual desktop and it's running Windows 11. You can see that's the session desktop. That's when we use the QuickStart to actually deploy it. So here now, this user now can begin to use this virtual desktop to perform his tasks. Another user, that's the second user, Fumi, can also sign in and begin to use the same virtual desktop to perform his tasks. One of the beauty of virtual desktop is that it's secure because the data that belongs to organization that is on the devices will be prevented from an unauthorized user. Unlike when you give them physical devices that somebody can just hijack from them and the information on those devices may be exposed to unauthorized users. So this is the more reason why organizations are looking towards the virtual desktop. So in form of recap, what are we deploying? So when you deploy a sample Azure Virtual Desktop environment using QuickStart, the following resources will be deployed. There is going to be a resource group and it's going to name that resource group on its own. Let's go and check the resource group that he created. Look at the resource group. He named it on his own. And because resource group is one of the resources that must be, created. And also another resources deployed apart from the resource group is the host. So I'll go to the Azure Virtual Desktop and you're going to see the host pool. If I come to the host pool now, you're going to see, you can see this is the host pool that he deployed. And inside that host pool, if I click on it, now it's telling me now that I have one virtual machine inside the host pool. And if I click on the virtual machine, this is the virtual machine. This is the virtual machine, and this is the location of the virtual machine that it deployed inside the host pool. Now I will come back to this place. Then another thing that it deployed is the application group. Application group was also deployed. This is the application group that it deployed. Another thing deployed is the workspace, and this is the workspace that it deployed. Earlier, I said that it deployed a virtual machine. Now let's even go to we checked the virtual machine through the host pool the other time. Can we see it here? Let's check. Look at it. There's a virtual machine. So you deploy a virtual machine, and what's the size of that virtual machine? Standard D4DS underscore what? Underscore V4, and is running. And it's running Windows operating system. In this case, it's running what? Windows 11. So you deploy a virtual machine, and it also deployed a virtual network. Let's go and check the virtual network that are deployed. And this is it. You deployed this virtual network as well. And also, the virtual machine also required disk. So if you go to the disk, you're going to notice that you also deploy an Azure disk for the virtual machine. These are Azure disks for the what? For the virtual machine. And even network security group was also deployed. To type network security group, this is the NSG, the network security group. So once the resource group is created, all the resources are deployed inside that resource group that was created. So the normal thing, if you are doing it without using the quick start, is to deploy the resource group first. After the resource group, you go and deploy the virtual network before you move to the host pool, application group, workspace, and so on and so forth. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to this channel. Please, let me know what you think in the comment section. And do not forget to leave a like and share this video. See you in the next one.